allowing them to create videos or content in a very easy manner through a feature-rich platform. But we're not here to talk about product today. We talk about communication. That's something very element to human. So yeah, I mean, we talk about a little about communication because that's the most core essence of everything, right? We interact with each other. That's a form of communication. So let's take a look at how communication has rather developed over the course of human history. I mean, when you think of primitive examples of communication, what comes to your mind? There were cavemen who would carve out images of animals, of people on stones and everything. What was that? That was a core communication being passed on to their future generations. That something happened before them, or that was the core, that society developed in a certain manner. That was the core message that was being portrayed. And it was portrayed through primitive methods such as carvings because there was no other platform available, there was no other tool available to do so. And over the course of human history, we've only developed our forms of communication. We've had primitive styles of doing it, but with every new invention that has happened, we've either stripped down what did not work for us and we've added new to it. We've invented new forms of communication that suit us. So we take a look at how communication has developed over. I'm sure you can see the icons. I don't think you can read the text, but I think it's also like I said, carved paintings on cave walls. And then came the advent of using animals as transport communication. Like when we realized pigeons would know the sense of direction, so we'd send them using letters and we'd send them to a different kingdom to get the letter back and transport it back. So that was a form of communication that allowed lesser time for communication to be transported from one place to another. And then came the advent of paper. That was perhaps the first sense of storage that we had. Before that, we did not really store our communication. We did not have any place where we would continuously write and refer to it back and forth. So paper is essentially the first form of storage that we ever had, and that got developed into far more complicated or intrinsic forms of communication with the invent of printing press, where we started doing it at scale. So with the invent of printing press, we started not only we created the whole idea of newspapers, journals. So a whole lot of extra information, a whole lot of granular information from different sources was being collaborated in one place and being distributed. As we moved on to a new modern history, what we have now, we've invented our forms of communication far more drastically. We invented the radio, the television. Television is perhaps that one thing that changed everything very drastically. It included visuals for the first time ever. We had writing as a form of communication. We had radio as a form of communication. So when radio got invented, it was the first time we could associate a voice to our whoever we were talking to or whoever we were listening to. So there was a sense of attachment to it. The television got in visuals to it. The visuals of actually seeing someone talk, seeing someone do something on the television. So we could suddenly imagine far more, in far more ways than what we previously could do. And obviously the modern era, the past 20, 30 years or 40 years, we invented the internet and everything has perhaps changed. So if you look at the internet, the invention of the internet and before that, communication has evolved in a certain manner from the time we actually learned to communicate. And the same thing is happening again on the internet. We've built the internet as a base and we're building communication forms on top of it. So when the internet was developed, the first form of communication was email. That was again a text-based form of communication. It's somewhat similar to having cave carvings or just paper-based scriptures back in the day. Internet was again the same. Email was the only source of the platform where we could communicate. Then we developed something called blogging, where people would write their own opinions, their own articles, and send it out to the World Wide Web. And on top of that, every single time we have developed something, it has been a new layer. So when social media came in, we introduced the idea of communicating to a lot of people at the same time. That was negated through even more bite-sized sharing as Twitter. So Twitter brought in microblogging. So it's somewhat as if you look at it, it's like compression. Twitter is, you are probably sharing multiple pieces of information, but it's smaller in size. So let's say in a day, if I have to read a news-based article, I would not prefer reading a long article on a Times of India website. I'd rather get my information on InShorts, which is a 60-second app which gives you a quick way of consuming a media. I don't have time in my day. I'd rather go through 10 articles, 10 pieces of different news in a short form, in a short manner, rather than read 10 long articles, right? So what is that? That's a form of compression. That's how, like a compression technology, how we compress to include more data. This is exactly the way communication has been developed in a manner that we are able to communicate more, but we do not go in length with each thing. So we understand that the shift has happened, that we've developed from a very primitive source of communicating from the car, from the wall cablings and pigeons and printing press. We've come to the internet and microblogging services and mobile phone. Is it something that induced it, or was it a natural shift? Because humans are probably the only intellectual animals on the planet. So what was the shift? Why was there a need for changing the communication? We could have stuck to pigeons. I mean, why? What was the necessary reason behind moving on to different forms of communication? I think that can be answered by the fact that humans are cognitive animals. Now, cognitive animals, by saying that, I mean there are factors to our comprehension. When I speak to you, I am not only attaching my voice to you, I'm attaching your visuals, I'm looking at you, I'm gauging your expressions, I'm understanding your body language. So that is a sense of communication as well. And that's what video really brings in, right? When you're looking at a video, you are not only just viewing the visuals that is happening on the image, you are experiencing the whole communication form. You're taking in the audio. If, let's say, I give an example of a sad video where you're looking at some visuals, and you're probably having a sad soundtrack behind it. You automatically, your brain is wired to feel a little somber, feel a little mellow, or feel the mood of the video. Now, if I was to say that the same video was to use, let's say, a funny soundtrack, that's a mismatch. You would feel the mismatch in the video, right? That's because your cognitive senses are telling you that the communication is wrong. The reason that we have these cognitive features in us led to the fact that we developed far more comprehensive ways of communicating. Let's move to the current state of affairs. How are brands, how are people interacting with each other, how are brands interacting with each other? Have brands adapted to the new form of communication? Definitely yes. Over the past 5-10 years, if you look at social media statistics, if you look at digital marketing statistics, companies are increasingly moving to shorter forms of communication, be it through Twitter, through video blogging, through microblogging, through short snippets, or even like 10-second ads on Snapchat. These are things that our brands are adapting to. This is something that I've taken from our Twitter channel. So I'm guessing all of you are aware of the fact that a couple of earthquakes happened in the South American region, and people have been really affected by it. We are not a content company by nature. We are a product-based company. We are an internet service. So why did we need to speak out to them? As a general thing that happened on the social media, we wanted to reach out to people in Mexico and let them know that be careful, you have be strong, have faith in the government, and etc. So that was communication that was required from our side to be put out. But we decided to do it in video. Why? Because we could attach a lot of elements to it. There is one example could have been us tweeting out, we hope everyone in Mexico is alright, we hope everyone in Mexico is safe, we pray for you guys. And then another thing is to put it in a video with visuals, with perhaps a soundtrack, or actually communicating the true emotion through it. And we actually did not boost this post. So on Twitter, we got a lot of retweets and likes, such as 1,300 retweets and 300 likes. This is an organic reach. Now, if you were to compare this with, let's say, a preset Twitter acquisition, where you pay $2,500 for 268K impressions. That's a paid preset on Twitter. Any tweet you take, you have a preset where you can select your maximum bid, which will give you a certain amount of impressions on your tweet. That's your paid. The number that you see there is your paid engagement. What we got is 389, which is far more than the paid one, and it wasn't even boosted. So why did that happen? That was not because I doubt that would have happened if we had just a text-based content or text-based sharing. If we had probably just written, we hope everybody's fine, or we could have just written a blog post about it or an article about it. That wouldn't really hit the essence or the emotion that is attached to the topic. And that really brings me to the next segment, which is videos isn't really industry specific. One might think that it's easy for brands such as BuzzFeed or Scoop, like you saw in this slide. For them, it's easier to communicate through videos because they have a lot of content, right? They have a lot of listicles, they have a lot of media-based articles, they have a lot of celebrity news, they have entertainment news. For them, it makes sense to use videos. But that's not really the core point here. That's what I'm trying to make. In the video making is not industry specific at all. For us, showing you the example was one of the ways of telling you that even for us, we are not a content-based company, but the communication that we made through video helped us get that engagement with people. So we realize how how video is engaging all that elements and factors into communication. But what truly goes into making a video? I'm guessing she will take care and.
Thank you, Vivek, for helping us understand how human communication has transitioned over the years. And since all of us are part of startups here and early business models, getting our sense or getting our presence known to the target audience is very difficult. And right, so keeping a notch in your branding is very important. So what goes into your video is really important. So good content is what wins your customers' wallet. So what we preach and we practice is that you need to focus on the needs of your customers, on your requirements of your customers, your wants of your customers. Only then are you going to get the attention or capture the attention of your potential customers, right? Apart from this, what are the ways? You need to make sure that your video communication or the content that is there in your video is effective. How do you ensure effective communication? You need to make sure that your customers realize that there is an underlying problem, right? And then inform them, yes, my product or service is going to help solve this underlying problem. What do we face most of the time? What our audiences, our target audiences, what do we need from them? We need their time, their attention, their effort. But do our audience actually have the time, the effort? No. They have so much of information out there, including yours, including your competitors. And now they have to make a choice between what to read, what not to read, what to view, what not to view. So in order to bridge this gap, the best way is to build your trust. Now telling them that these are the benefits of the video or of the product or the service that you have to provide is only going to bridge the gap between these two. Another important thing that you guys need to remember is that whatever you show, whatever you encase is going to be a reflection of your company. It's going to be a reflection of the character of your company. So to give you an understanding, better understanding for all this, have you guys heard of the Curve ID campaign launched by Levi's? It was a very famous campaign. So what they did is most fashion brands, they go behind size, right? Large, medium, it's extra large, all of that. So these guys understood the underlying problem, which is customers don't know how to classify themselves on a broader scale, which is small or large. Instead, they came up with a different concept, which is Curve ID. So they created a whole new category where they understood that size is really not the problem here, right? Shape is actually the problem. So they created a 3-step process where you understand your shape, you understand your ID, and you move on in life. They never pushed on buying their kind of product. They only made sure that they made customers realize that yes, there is an underlying problem, there is a solution to it. Now whether you use our product or not is not our concern. But as long as you're happy with your body shape, as long as you're comfortable with your body shape, that's all that matters. Right? And it's a huge success. They saw an inflow of customers all across the world just for this campaign, just to select perfect jeans. Right? Now that we know what goes into what is important to communicate to your customers through videos, let's see what you can achieve. Right? So basically, what can we achieve by natively using these videos and see a return in every sector? See a return on investment in every sector, every field of our company. Right. So, Google, what do you do right now for increasing brand awareness in your company? You guys.
Sorry?
What do you guys do to improve awareness in your company? What do you practice? How do you put out your brand? And how do you tell that, yes, this is me, come to me? How do you tell your customers that we exist?
Oh, like our company
Yes.
or for our clients?
Your company as such. Tell them that. How do you make your customers aware that you exist?
We usually meet people because
Okay.
we are very active in the ecosystem.
Okay.
And they let us know if there are some needs.
Do you do brand awareness activities for your clients?
Not yet. Like, it's mostly word of mouth.
Okay. So, what do you do, sir? This is for Hayek, what you need. Yeah. So, what do you do, sir?
For me, through network.
Okay.
Because
Could you explain that?
network in the sense is we individually handle assignments with hospitals and all. So I suppose let's say I handle one of them. And I check with those guys that who are their friends and all. So I like to them and I do
Brilliant.
then if it works, because it's not a mass thing.
Okay. So, you grow network within network. That's what you're trying to say.
You can say that way, but basically, if I talk to my friend and if they have friends in specific areas of my interest, then I go and meet them, talk to them. If they have requirement, they come back and they have requirement. Or I collect from people different IDs, email IDs, and all, and write to them. So that's a big challenge, definitely.
Okay. So, have you guys tried talking about your product as a story? Anyone? Why don't we do this? Why don't we go back to where you guys respectively from and try to talk about a story? Try to tell a story about your brand or your product or your service and see the difference then. So when what this is going to do is this is going to bridge the gap that you already have with your customers. It's going to tell your customers, see, this is what we do. This is the story of our product. So then there is going to be a connection. It's exactly like how you tell a normal story, right? And then people are able to connect. But instead, tell a story about your product, right? How many of you all have videos on your website? One. I'm so glad you guys attended this workshop. So I hope you guys are aware that Google favors websites with videos in them. So that's again number one for you guys to go and help with your SEO. Other than that, just think of running a simple campaign, a 1 minute video or 2 minute video on your landing page. So you will see this how this is going to improve is you will see a lot of people sticking onto your website for a longer time just because there is a video to explain. Instead of going through the long text, it might be beautiful. You might have a lot of USPs written on your website that will lead you to different landing pages. But imagine the difference that it's going to make when they see a video instead of a USP feature, right? So instead of ORM, if you explain what exactly ORM is and how it works, that's going to help you, right? Can you tell me what you do for engagement on social media? One of you want to find everyone feels so uncomfortable. Anybody, what do you guys do on social media?
We beg for comments.
We beg for comments.
Reply for comments.
Okay, reply to comments, okay. That's got it. So you do realize that comments, likes, shares, all of these are going to improve your social signals, right? The higher or healthier your social signals are, it's better for you guys. You get better ranked on Google. So how is this going to help? Which is a very good practice. Is you already have a loyal customer base, right? Now, and they already trust you. You're going to invade or you're going to go into a space where they also have a lot of friends. They're also part of different communities, different channels. So you are already a loyal and trustworthy company for your customers. Imagine going into another community where already your name is I'm a trustworthy brand or I'm a loyal brand. So you're getting free customers anyway from the network of all your customers, right? So social signal is really, really important. So if, like DJ mentioned earlier, our consumers are getting sophisticated day by day. So it's up to us that we provide informative, entertaining, and interactive videos, right? So there are so many things you can do. For example, have you heard of FAQs and how-to videos? These are perfect examples to engage your customers, right? So posting. No.
How about like YouTube, like they ask for subscription? So automatically subscribers are there. No? So that is also some kind of engagement, actually.
Yeah, so that is also a social signal.
Yeah. So like engagement, like ultimately when people keep on engaging with my channel. So in future, whatever I'm going to launch, so they will be the first person who will be getting that newsletter.
Correct. Correct.
So that is what I'm looking for my future.
Brilliant. So yeah, including newsletters is the best thing that you can do. Doing videos in your newsletters is the best thing that you can do.
Perhaps you should also like make your customer base acquainted to the fact that you're using videos all the time. So the next time they're looking forward for a communication from you, they know they're expecting a video. It will not be a random automated email that they read. So most of the time the random automated email is ignored.
Because my problem is like I have the contacts email ID, but I'm not able to get the time to have a one-to-one session engaging.
Yes.
That's the thing.
So if you acquaint your customer base with the fact that every single time you reach out to them, there is a different form of communication, which is video, or there's no personalized touch to it rather than an email. That acquaints them to the fact that they have more to expect from you rather than just a normal marketing email or a
Probably you might not read also.
Exactly, he might not even read it. So, and the fact that you've acquainted him already with the fact that you continuously send him videos reminds him that there's more to look forward to every time you send him a video.
There's one more thing I want to add, which is YouTube itself pushes even saying that, because now YouTube is owned by Google also, right? That look at videos that you create on YouTube as a way to build up your video SEO. This concept, which I think you guys should check out, even in general content marketing, a very interesting concept called the 3H. That's a really interesting concept. It's 3H, which is hero, hub, and help. So their point is create a little bit of hero content, which could be ebooks, white papers, or as an example, they give for video, right? You remember the Felix Baumgartner jumped from space. He did this jump, right? So for Red Bull, that was like the hero content. Everybody tuned in saying that hey, this guy is going to jump from space, right? But you can do that maybe once a year. Spend a lot of time, promote it, and that is your hero content. Do few of those. That will attract a lot of people. Then you have hub content. Hub, the idea is you will create these series. For example, it could be, let's say, as for example, for growth, right? Doing around investing and stuff like that. You might say, here are different people and how do they invest money? Or for a small entrepreneur, how should we invest? If you're a housewife, how should you invest? And bunch of examples around that. The idea with the hub is that when you watch one of those videos in YouTube, you will see these other videos next to it. And your users will see one and then click on the other one. Right? And the end, which is probably the most interesting to you guys around video SEO, is people might be asking a lot of questions about your product or around your area. Right? If you get lots of these small videos, then people are searching on Google. Your videos show up because YouTube is owned by Google, right? So a lot of those videos will show up and slowly a brand will get it. Now this as a silly example, right? If it's select, they could make tons of videos around how to shave properly. If you are a black man, you have to shave differently. If you're a white man, maybe your beard is a bit different. If you're a woman, how to do. So hundreds of such videos in the day. As you're searching on Google, your videos show up over there, right? So those kinds of examples. So just look up this 3H, and it makes sense even for your content marketing also. But for videos especially, it's interesting. And the more all of these platforms are pushing video, you can benefit from making growth. And later we'll talk about how such videos can be made very easily. But think of it almost like blogging. Just the way you blog, create these things.
Another brilliant way to increase your engagement online is like how we have demonstrated by discussing current events with your customers. You don't really need to be a content company for that. You just need to be empathetic, be connected to your customers, and then show them that you actually care about them. That is all that you need to do. So discussing about current events, discussing what they can do with your product, what else they can do in the same industry itself is a brilliant idea. So let's, I'm just going to give you an instance. Let's just say that we are part of the travel industry. So for example, you can post videos related to what documents to carry in this country, or what are the best places to visit in this season or in this time of the year, or other thing. Let's say if you're an education company, what can you guys come up with things that you can post online for an education company?
I suddenly think of an example where you guys said you guys provide party experience.
Oh yeah, party experience.
You could probably give you could have a weekend video where it talks about 5 best places you found out for this week, or 5 best places where a certain thing is happening, which will attract a certain set of corporate clients. So you can do videos like that. So you could create your own content, find your avenues. That's how you do it.
So moving on to leads, how we can use videos to increase your leads. The best way to use our older strategy, which is email, and marry them with our new concept, which is videos. So when you're, instead of sending your old emails, which are long, and newsletters, which are really long and takes a lot of time, include a video in them. Just 2 minutes, 2 minute video, that's going to make a lot of difference. You're not going to get a lot of dropouts from your emails. You're not going to get people just clicking it and moving away. People will actually look at it and have a go at what you have to say, right? Another thing that you can do out here are product videos. Now, pages or any landing pages with product videos see at least a raise of 23% of qualified leads. So Case Club is one of the companies in that. So they measure Case Complete. I'm sorry. They measure the heat map of your websites. So how do you promote a company just like that? How can you even think of a video for a company like that? But these guys created a 10-second explainer video, pure explainer video placed on their landing page, and a 23% increase of qualified leads. Think of what your sales team could do with 25% increase in just qualified leads, right? What are the other ways you can increase this through sales? I'm so sorry, guys. Sales. Okay. So, any of you have used video sales letters here? Show of hands.
Don't you think it goes to the spam?
No. I'll tell you why. Video sales letters. So normally, typically, the sales letters that we follow typically around is that we send them a brief, nice, personalized mail, and then include a lot of links, and then they click on it. They go on different. Either you are going to go back to your website or visit this page, go here, go there. That's it, right? That's a lot of information. It's around 20 to 30% of 30 pages of information. Instead, if you embed a 3 to 6 minute video, that's a lot more information captured in one video instead of reading 20 to 50 pages of information. That's 300% times more beneficial than asking a customer to invest their time and effort to just go and keep clicking and reading, find out on your own and read. Instead, if you have one message and you know, yes, this customer is going to purchase this product, it's just a 3 to 6 minute video where they will understand why you send them this. Right? Now, these are basic things that all of us must have thought about or wanted to implement or already know about. What are the other things that we can achieve with videos, and where all can we achieve that? So all of us know that if we have a bounce rate below 30%, it's good. That's all that we know. Why? Because Google told us. But do we also know that Google told us that 90% of the people will jump off of your page just because there's no video, right? But even if it's a simple video, even if it's a video that does not even connect to your customers, according to Google, it says that from 90 it drops down to 30. So if you actually put down a video on your website which explains what your product does and how it helps your target audience, imagine how much your customers are going to see on your website. Eventually, that's all that we want, right? FAQs, yeah, please go ahead.
So, you said that the video, posting a video on, say,
any page if you like.
Right. Yeah. So, would duplication of video be a problem?
What do you mean?
Let's say I put out 100 articles a month, but I put out 10 videos a month. So, if I post duplicate videos, the same video in multiple articles, would that harm my SEO? Right. So if the video content has to
that's
be
the whole point. Yes, that's the whole point of trying to connect with your customers, right? Give what your customer really requires. So if you're going to write 10 articles and if you just paste 10 same videos, you're ultimately what you're trying to do is just bring them to your page and hoping that they will read it. But that's not the aim, right? The first part that we discussed is we need to equally respect our customers' time and effort. Just because we are impatient and we badly want their attention and time does not mean that they're going to get it. So we need to work for it. We need to really show them that we care. So
ultimately, whatever. So even if we don't know what Google wants, they don't really publish all of whatever goes into the news, right? But one simple thing we can remember is Google wants you to do the right thing for the customer. If you open a page on a mobile phone, it's not responsive, Google will take you. if you have too many pop-ups and things like that, Google will give you because as a user you don't want it. Page load slowly, they will give you, right? Same way, you can logically think, right? That you go on reading a bunch of your pages and the same videos there. Google will say that, okay, look, this person is just trying to stuff. Because Google has said video again, you are now putting video again.
No, not in that context. Like many videos, in case of us, mutual funds, many videos are beneficial to various different articles. Like I can be talking of the different types of mutual funds that exist, but what are mutual funds? That is a video that is still relevant to all different articles.
So if it's relevant, so I mean, I would say let's not think so much about exactly what Google is like. When you describe it like this, as a user, I feel this is very valuable. I'm reading this particularly, I don't know what a mutual fund is. If you're explaining it right there, then that's valuable.
Actually, that might even work out well for him because considering you have multiple posts where you put out the same set of videos.
Yeah.
Let's say a user is reading one post or an article, then you have that video. Right below the video, you can link him to other articles which are talking about the same, like similar things, because you have the same video across whatever articles you just mentioned. Right? So now you're not only providing him that one article and video that he's seen, but you're also providing him an option to go to other of your sources.
But at the same time, Google has now started realizing websites which auto-play videos.
Yeah.
And they don't do it through SEO, they do it through Chrome. In Chrome, you can now block websites and fully turn off all auto-playing videos out of them. So if you go to Forbes and they start playing these videos and you might find them annoying, then Google has done that through Chrome. Over time, maybe through SEO also they might do so. Overall, this one is what does the user really wanted. Some of these things, when you hear these statistics that this will go up, that will, this will, you might want to game it, but just see in your context, is it relevant to your business, then do it. It's kind of
So how about like suppose if I have 3-4 product lines. So for one product, I'll make one small video that says 2-3 minutes video on it. Then weekly basis if I publish, so Google will not run that.
That's right. So some of these things we can guess whether they like, don't like that, but your users want it, just take on it from their point of view.
Because I will keep on changing because I'm not keeping the same to it. Because to just increase my SEO, so that I have to change my content, videos, lot of stuff I have to change. So I'll keep on changing like on weekly basis and see how the performance is going.
For example, on our homepage, that video has been there for some 6 or 8 months. We haven't been changing. That's not really a problem. If you want to keep the same thing, keep changing every other.
Moreover, the Google bot will look at your site as a video file being updated. It won't go into the content that is being updated inside the video. Only the file that gets updated, refreshed. They have a bot that tracks constant refreshes on the website. So if you let's say update your video every week, they are aware that you're updating your video content, but they're not tracking what actual content you're changing.
Yeah, okay.
So that is taken care of.
Yeah.
So I'll just quickly give you a small example of what she meant by blog videos. Right? So let's say let's talk about the insurance thing that Bro is really involved with. Let's say he writes a blog post about the 10 common mistakes everybody does while they're investing. All you need to do is, let's say this is your blog site. Here's your title, it says 10 common mistakes everybody does. Your video will just list out those 10. Like number 1, this, next scene, number 2, this, next scene, number 3, this. Below this, you are actually writing 1, 2, 3, and you're explaining each of them. Now what happens is, as a user, when I go to Bro's blog and I see this, I really like the video. So I'm going to stay, I'm going to watch all of these 10 mistakes. And let's say I really find the number 8 mistake. That's the one thing that I'm doing. I want to solve it. What I do is I scroll down all the way to number 8 and I read it. What has happened now? I have spent easily more than 2 minutes on his blog. Google knows that. Google knows that when I search for some query and I went to his blog, I spent 2 minutes there. So Google says, okay, maybe this is showing really good, relevant content. So it pushes up the rank in SEO. That's what she meant by putting videos. And this is how you can capitalize, right? Once again, she mentioned travel. So 10 documents to carry whenever you're traveling in South Asia. That's it. That's the topic of your blog. You're writing down those 10 things. Include a video here. Because at least the first thing someone sees is there's a video on the blog. Okay, let me just see what it has. If it's interesting, I'm going to scroll down, have a look at it more. But either way, when a user is spending more time on your blog, Google knows that. Google knows that if you search for this, you spend more time here, which means it has relevant information. Let me push it up online. Search engine result page. That's what she meant.
So FAQs. All of us know how FAQs are lengthy and it's very difficult to search and all of that. Instead, Put a short, sweet demo video covering all and most of your questions, and then it's easy for your customers. They already know what to do with your product or your service, right? So how many of you all give live demos to prospects? Still? Okay, again, thank you for taking this workshop. So instead, why give live demos? So it's not a scalable option. Yes, I agree with you that yes, you can show your customer what you can do, hands-on experience, all of that. That's not a scalable option, right? Think of it when your company goes like 100 members, 10,000 members, 20,000 members. You can't sit and give them live demo to everybody. That's not practically scalable, although I like that option. But process walkthrough, they're very simple, sweet, short videos that are going to tell you, yes, this is how you need to use our product, this is the benefit that you're going to get, this is your problem, that is it. So your customer already knows what they're getting into. So you get qualified clean customers then. You don't have to do the pre-qualification all over again. Explainer videos are my absolute favorite. Whenever I go to any website, first thing that I do is how to use this, or I YouTube it, or I Google it. So explainer videos are completely must. You need to tell your customer how your product is going to solve their problem. You need first, because you've already helped them identify the problem, right? And you need to show them how to solve that problem using your product. Customer storytelling. So all of us are perfect telling our story. All of us are perfect about telling I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. But then what about all the people that you've influenced or you've inspired or you've helped? And so create a customer testimonial where it's more of like a documentary form where you actually make your customers feel like heroes, right? And that's going to bring a lot more new customers on you. Behind the scenes. So if your customers are loyal to you and they love your product or your service and they love it, give them a look at all the hard work that you have put in. Give them off-the-cuff videos or quick, office tour, or this is what we do, or Fancy Friday, something of that sort. They will actually know that it's the amount of effort they do to solve my problem, right? Expert sessions. I'm sure all of you all have experts coming over to your office, or you will have expert sessions. Record them, post up online. Maybe that's going to help one of your customers in some domain or the other, right? Maybe not in what you're going to help them, some way or the other. Customer appreciation. Whether it's a single customer or a group of customers or a company, whether it's live recording or pre-recorded, always and please make sure that you appreciate customers. Sending them a 1-minute video of thank you is always going to keep them loyal and come back. Probably you'll get an upsell there. So as we've discussed all of this, and I'm sure all of you have thought about using video some way or the other, but what has stopped you, or so far if you've not used in different sectors that we've explained, what has always stopped you, or what are the hindrances that you guys faced when, or if you've ever thought about it, what is stopping you from going ahead and using video as a means of communication with your customers? You guys.
So
yeah, we're just going to start reading it out. Yeah, you can go ahead, please go ahead. Please tell me, why haven't you already started?
So basically, I was thinking like go with an animation video rather than me presenting or my CEO going to present like what we do and things. So I thought like go for some animation video where we can explain what we do in a nutshell, like simple way, not into hi-fi.
So why haven't you done it?
Probably I checked with few vendors like pricing and they're like charging. Now they're charging more, so I need to work on those things also.
So you would say animation in terms of the effect or whatever,
yeah.
And you also associate cost to it.
And I know like this is the correct mode of presenting the solution.
All right, then for your business.
I feel
correct. Okay. So this is one aspect. Another aspect you would say is attaching cost to it, where you have to go to vendors. Okay.
Other inputs, guys.
What would stop you guys from
Yeah,
making videos?
why aren't you already using video as a
have
means of
videos,
communication?
why haven't you not?
Yes, please.
Perhaps not like everybody. If you want to show demo steps within my program, then video and resolution, you show this piece of everything. That's very easy to work on the phone.
Okay, so
That's not really some people asking it.
yeah, ASCII or text.
Asking, it's like
Yeah.
just recorded these two to explain. So
Right.
once given after that, it's
Again. Others. Sorry, someone said
Time taken to create videos.
time. Time taken to create videos. What else?
It's not a scalable option when
Yes.
you create 100 videos.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Take,
Given the amount of content we write, it's very hard to bring
especially when
out
you
corresponding
have
videos.
100 articles a month.
Not 100, we not read.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
What else?
Any more? Okay, so basically we can basically put these problems into three
broad
categories,
categories.
which comes into skill, money, and time. So you for your animation based hindrance, it's a skill based hindrance. You will not probably have someone who can do the animation for you, or you yourself don't know how to do the animation. And then you associate cost to it. If you were to give it to somebody else, if they're going to charge for let's say 1 minute, they're going to charge 16,000 rupees. That's how the industry is. And then, like you mentioned, the time, you cannot scale it up. Even if you do manage to create one video with all the animations and make it look really brilliant, it's going to take you a whole day or maybe more than like a few days, perhaps a week. How do you do that in scale? So now we have, there are platforms, there are tools that are enabling that or negating these three aspects and creating, allowing that space for users to produce videos at scale with all the options that you require. I mean, do you want to show them some of the product or the demo? Yeah.
So, like I said, and what he's also saying, right? There are a bunch of products who's going to show you one quick video. I guess you can get some example from here. They're just going to some of the older videos. I guess they're looking at one of them to show you how easy it is to create.
So when you think of video making, the first thing that probably comes to my mind is opening a video editor, and it's really difficult to figure out what is happening. Like there is so much complication to it. There's a timeline, there are tools, there are symbols that you don't understand. Here, it's a very step-by-step process of how we create a video. It's very easy. These are your scenes, and for every scene that you create, you add an image or text to it. So you have an image in your still photograph. You can add videos as well. If you have, this is a still photograph. So if I wanted, I could upload my own video.
Or GIFs.
Yeah, or GIF images or videos and you could also upload your own custom sounds.
So you have an option to input voiceovers and recordings. So this is basically this part where you add content. Your media files, your captions, your text, all of that goes out here.
So
This
it's
is
like
just-
a thumbnail kind of like
Yeah.
yeah.
So this is just to add your content. That is all.
So
You
let's
select whatever you want to put and then you
Yeah.
just add them out here.
So since you asked me about the image and everything,
So sorry?
What is the file size per slide?
What?
there is no limitation on file size upload except unless it's a video upload, then we have time
Only
limits.
on the time.
Yeah.
You mentioned you have your video clips on the time.
Timings.
Right. So each scene can go up to 120 seconds of video clips. Right? So you can, let's say you have a 10-minute video clip that you want to put here. You can upload it here. There's an inbuilt trimmer which will help you trim those 120 seconds for each scene. So your 10-minute video, you can divide it into 5 different scenes, each one 2 minutes, 2 minutes.
But that's like the default preset. If you wanted more capacity, we could obviously upscale that. That's at a later stage. Anyway, so like you mentioned, that's a static image. If you wanted to change it, I will. This is a video that we had made earlier. I'll just change the image to show you how easy it is to replace an image. So when you start off, this would be your blank, blank slate, perhaps. You won't even have text here. This is something that I have written. So you have your image in your mind. You probably have a customer's image or the image of your product. You can either search for, if you're looking for a generic story, you can search through the engine. We have a royalty-free service where you can look for thousands of images and videos. Or else you can just upload your own content. Let's say I'm just going to take a random image here. This is not related to the video in any manner. I'm just going to show you the upload capability. So now your image is uploaded to the first scene. That becomes, so when the moment the video starts, that's the first scene that comes in. Now we'd obviously want some text on it. That's why this is where you add your text. And you could do normal text format to a Word document or however you could, italicize the text, you could make it bold, highlight it. Highlighting makes sure that when the video is being played and the text is coming, that one particular word or one particular phrase is highlighted in the video, so people get to see it. So similarly, you add your scenes where you can just keep adding scenes you want to your video, and you can add text and images for each scene. Now, each scene does not necessarily have to be an image; it could be a video. You could have a combination of text and videos, or a combination of images and videos. We can even upload GIFs for that matter. Right? Once you've decided, or once you have your content in place, or once you have your images in place, now the next step in a normal video editor would be to sit down and start designing. That's where the skill comes in, right? Here, it's more based on a GUI approach to how you make your video. So once you've done that, you've collated all your content, or all your images, all your videos, and you have it in a format in a timeline where I want this image to come in first, I want this text to come in with this image. You set it out in a timeline.
So initially, like the best way for all of you to start making videos would be to repurpose your existing blogs, because you don't have to go around looking for content. You already have the content placed there. Copy paste those content here, put some images. If you don't have images, use the inbuilt tools. It's like a search engine. Typing a keyboard, you get a video clips as well as images.
So it's as simple as changing your blogs into videos.
Also, the speed of the tool is dependent on your internet. So the faster internet you have, the faster the tool loads up. So this is your next screen where you have your set of preset templates. What you see here right now is something that I created when I was working on the tool. So I have certain presets and templates that I've created on my own, and they're ready to use every single time. I just need to upload my images, my text, replace them, hit submit, done. That's what I do. But for when you log in, you will be provided with a set of presets that you can apply to your video. So now if I play a preview of a video, this is what it looks like. You see, so every image that we put in every scene is coming up with text. So it looks like a collaborative video, and you have your animation and overlays, just how you would make it in music is too funky.
Music is too funky.
The similar things I'm seeing, like in Facebook, the similar things come like pictures and correct. So people will be attracted like what is this?
Right. So the major thing that everybody thinks is it's so difficult to make, or I don't have the manpower or this. It's as simple as 2 clicks. That's all it is.
Because I was going through like a top 10 script for a marketing executive. So text, and with that the music comes to, so I read that.
If you are not if you are on a traditional creator, you have to probably
sketch on
the
Illustrator
path or draw the path of animation and create the whole thing.
So you'll have to sketch on Illustrator, then export it to Photoshop, and then after that work on After Effects, all of that. So that is a lot of manpower and energy and time wasted on just one video. So think of it like how he said let's assume you have 100 articles right now, and go ahead with that. That's going to be the base assumption, right? So let's say that he wants to convert all of those 100 articles into 100 videos or 100 blog videos. How is he supposed to sit and make 100 videos? That's practically impossible, right? If he has to shoot it out in one go. Like how he does, he works very smartly. He creates one video, saves all of his templates. The next time he wants to make a video, add his content. By default, the themes are already there, apply and then post it. It's as simple as that. And the other thing that I can think about his blog is that we have an option where you can just put the blog link. It will automatically collect all your images that is present in the blog. All that you have to do is for each of the image, caption it, and then you're good to go. So it's as easy as that. It's as simple as that. It's as
And you could modify a lot of things with your video. You could customize it to have your own sets of soundtracks. You could play previews of it. If you don't want to use the existing library that we have, you can upload your own music, or you can upload your own voiceover to it. So that's that. And the second thing is you can upload your own logo to the video. You can also change the way your caption looks. Caption being the text on every scene, how your text will be play around with the font, you play around with the position. I'll show you an example of.
You can also add your voice and.
Yes. So you can add content.
You put it for 3 minutes.
Absolutely.
Something.
Yes.
to your client for 3 minutes.
Right.
One is that you see when somebody is recording and you
Yeah.
and that actually takes use space.
Yeah.
So you
Here you have a couple of different images and all.
You can upload your voice to it. That's how
you
do
can
it.
upload, you can record it or upload it.
Better
do
you
that
can,
out
you
here.
can upload the image, you can write your text and sync your voice.
Record and upload is record then upload.
You
It's
can,
not real
if you
time.
already have a media file that you want to upload as a voiceover, you can do that, or on the spot after adding your content, if you want to record and then speak as a, you can do that as well.
So
So all that comes again. I'm so sorry to say. All that comes again. You're adding content part that we had shown you earlier. So all that comes under adding your content part.
So
Back
you work in multiple hospitals. Right? You can just say, for example, someone who's had a really big surgery. It was a big thing for them. It was a successful surgery. You want to capture the moments. They're happy. The content that they're really helpful towards you. They have a lot of gratitude to show. Record the voice. Record it with the camera. You can record the voice separately. Come home, put it here. Make a testimonial video for that hospital and give it to them. And then the hospital puts it on social media. Now they have a story to tell. Okay, because of us, we made a family happy.
And doing that multiple number of times for different sets of patients won't be difficult because you've already created that template. So every time you're just changing the images and the voice, that's it. The whole animation or the video creation process is negative.
I was thinking like another these days a lot of universities like in college universities they upload the program. Let's say they want to conduct a program for executives which is spread over 3 months. Every month, 2 days, 3 days they come. It is very expensive program.
Correct.
So they will have PDF files, brochures and all. So instead of that I was thinking like how these videos can be also
Correct.
into
You can definitely do that at a scale. You can not just you will not be spending your time in creating just one video. Now because of with the I would say advantage of the tool, you can probably create 10 videos at one time and have that ready at scale. So you can play around with a lot of things.
A lot of people are writing blogs. They are actually quite passionate about writing their poetries or writing their stories and all. So they put it in the blog. Probably, I want to see that actually. If anybody has really created blog through videos explaining their telling us their poetry and story and all.
Yeah,
There
so
is something like that.
so you, if I'm not sure if Satyaji told us that your story is one of our biggest clients. So yours, if you've heard of your story, so your story publishes a lot of news, a lot of stories, a lot. So if they also do the same thing.
I used to read that and after I stopped
because okay, anyway, you don't want to tell him. It's okay.
No, I don't want to tell
in front of everybody. That is fine. That's not a problem. That's why you stop your story. Anyway, so what they've started doing is, so they already have tons and tons and tons of articles, and now they've seen us how Satyaj explained. They are the ones who actually pushed us towards it, right? There was actually a need out there. So people in the news and media itself is doing this, and why not in the other industries? And that's the whole idea. If a news and media company can do it for their blogs, why not other blogs? Why not other company blogs? That's all that we're trying to say. So there are people who are doing it efficiently, effectively, and actively today.
So what I'm trying to show you is that I'm going into deep customizing of my video. You could choose to completely ignore this and completely just go as a default preset, hit next. What I'm trying to show you here is the possibilities you can do with the tool in a much more interactive way. Now, if you wanted the text to be somewhere there, you could do this, you could do this, you could put it anywhere. Now, if you wanted to even go further and be like, I don't want it as presets, I want it customized, then you could even do that. You could change it the way you want it to. Go in a custom location, which is not a preset. So you have the option of
Like
making
for each individual image we can customize.
Yes,
yes,
you can do that. Or you can choose not to do it if you do not have caption.
On every individual
That's the whole.
So you see that when whatever scene that you're working on will be highlighted.
Okay.
So you will know that you're working on this scene, and the image is, so he's working on, now he's moved the scene again, So you will know which scene you're working for.
And these are scenes that you made in the previous. Where
Like
you
you've added your
content.
content. So your storyline is already prepared. Your storyline can be seen in the next video as well. And as you're changing everything, you can highlight that. There's a lot more features. Like if you go out here, there's so many features out there. You can actually explore and figure out and get the creativeness out of being go crazy and all that. But then we all, like how he said, we already have preset themes where you guys are already good to go. And if you like it, if you like the combination of all of the other things that is there in that theme, good to go. You can just make the video then and there and then post it.
So I'll just show you an example of how currently this video looks like this. You guys got an idea of how it looks. That's the template of the video. Now, if you wanted to change it, you could I could probably apply something else to it. I'm gonna apply this here. This is a preset.
By the way, all the music, all the images that we provide are all copyright free. So you don't have to worry about any licensing.
So sorry, yeah.
One more thing I wanted to check because I'm getting out of ideas. Let's say I do a recording, like video recording of mine without voice somewhere outside, where not noise is there. Then I come back home, then I add my voice into that. So let's say 2 minutes I recorded somewhere, then I added my voice into that. So those are quite easy, or it's very
Yeah, so everything is just upload, no? You have,
so
as long as you have
what I'm saying, because let's say when we are recording it outside, so that time we are not capturing the voice, and the mismatch between the lip and
yeah, so this is
So what you can do is you can record the voice.
You got my point.
yeah, I got your point. So that's what right there is where you can add your voice.
So you can click this and
you can record.
So whatever I say is asking for permission. So whatever you say, you can just record it. And it's currently recording. So it's using the mic of your device. If you have it on your phone, you can use it on your phone. If you have you can use this device. And you can add this on top of the video clip that you've already taken. So a really good example is real estate, right? So what they do is they go to the sites, they take a video recording of the sites, and you can add a voiceover on top of it saying, okay, now this is the bedroom. This is a 3-bedroom apartment. You have a huge balcony. When I come out of the balcony, you can see this star or this beautiful landscape. All of this can be added right from here by coming to this screen and clicking on this record. You need not, like you said, right? There's a lot of noise when I'm doing all that. You can cancel out all this noise here, get a really good set of headphones and speakers.
That 3D what you're talking.
Exactly.
But, there was no audio in there. It was just 3D which will show you.
360 degree videos
Yeah.
that were 360
Yes,
degree
yes.
views.
about the lip sync.
Oh, yeah. So that is one thing that you'll have to either do it. I mean, if you're doing a lip syncing, the best way to do is to get some recording equipment. Invest a little bit in a recording equipment. It's a really good thing. I'm pretty sure because you're working with the film, so you know recording equipment, how necessary it is, especially when I'm recording my voice over here. So that lip sync thing, again,
So lip sync, I'm assuming you'll have a video that you've shot, right? Like otherwise there is no issue of lip sync.
When we are
Yeah, please go ahead.
when we are getting an interview,
Yeah. Correct. So you have a video. So when you upload that video, that will already have sound. So you don't need to lip sync it. This is a case where you put an image and then you put a voiceover on it. So if you have a video where you recorded visuals and audio, then the sound is already there. You need not lip sync it on purpose. The video will be uploaded as it is.
let's say when we are using digital camera, like high-end cameras, and do the recording for 2 minutes, the size comes 3 GB, 4 GB like that. Now do we reduce to 2 MB, 3 MB, or 10 MB max?
That's more of compression on the this developer with
During high masters,
So what we do is whatever you upload over here, right? It could be very high res. So in fact, a lot of the copyright images that are over here, they are pretty large. Right? Every one of the audio files that is there, that alone is 5-6 MB, which is why sometimes when we are changing the theme, it takes some time.
2 minutes.
So now what happens is, correct. So now what happens is, the way you're seeing this video, right? On our server, in the backend, we are generating this video. So what it does is, because the video is going to be of a certain size, anything bigger than that has. So even if you upload 200 MB, because some of our users, they are uploading 300 MB of video. Ultimately, when it comes down, your 1 MB video will end up becoming 3-4 MB.
Before uploading, how do I reduce the size?
That's something we don't have to, but we say that you upload whatever you want. It will sit in your media library. And once you have generated it, your final video will be of a manageable size. And also when you generate the video, we can help you generate a smaller size video if you want to share a mobile or a full size video. So right now we don't have anything to help with the upload part of it. But if you just upload whatever you want, and we make sure that it's sized properly, the space saving, and all those things.
Actually, the size cannot really be manipulated when it's being recorded. That's
So actually, people do
that's shot in RAW format. So
3 GB, 4 GB, they're compressing into 30 MB.
that would be post
When
conversion.
you see videos
On YouTube. In fact,
on YouTube,
yeah, exactly.
like somebody is speaking for 40 minutes. Anybody speaking for 40 minutes,
Yeah.
30 minutes, TEDx.
Exactly.
So that TEDx 20 minutes is 50 GB. When they're recording it itself is 50 GB or 40 GB like that. So they are reducing it to some 20 MB. 30
Correct. So that happens after YouTube has processed it. When they upload the file,
No, I don't think they upload so every file. They must be compressing
So
their.
there are a lot of algorithms out there.
Yeah.
Many people
No,
have their own algorithms for
There are softwares.
That's true. Once again, whatever software
I
is
just wanted to
What we are saying is, once you upload, we do all of that work so that the final video is fine. But good point, maybe we can think of how we can compress.
Yes, we will.
There are softwares available. I don't know what.
And there's some tools.
Quality, right?
Ultimately, what we say is record this whole thing and use certain bitrate for it. Because what happens is when, so for example, we ourselves internally use Adobe software. So when that generates even a 10-second file that our designer creates it, that 10-second file ends up being 100 MB. But when he uploads it to our system, that ends up becoming 300 KB because we do that compression. Same way, ideally we would give you something so that you don't even have to upload so much. But because we don't have desktop software, we can't do that. It's all online. First you have to upload, then we do all that. But definitely there are software we ourselves using.
So I mean, I was playing the video that had a green animation preset. So I just randomly hit apply on a preset that I have saved, and I just applied those existing styles to it. I did not have to manually change.
It's currently recording, so you don't like device. If you have any phone to do.
We had attached a sound clip to it when we were showing you an example. We were recording the voiceover. So we were attached that scene.
A lot of this stuff is meant to be automatic. That he didn't go and sit around and fiddle around with the timing, right? There could be a video you added, some text you added, and a voiceover. This thing automatically is intelligent enough to know which one is longer and time is attached automatically. Right? If you write a little bit of text, that scene will play for a little time. If you written a lot of text, it will wait for that much time. You have to read one. And you can customize.
So another example of another preset. And here you have the option to choose your kind of the size of your video, the orientation of your video. You go full landscape like how YouTube has it, or you could go like phone-based portrait mode. But the best that works for social media is square-based videos based on social media statistics and marketing statistics. The best orientation for your video is always square. So we would advise you stick to square, but unless you have other requirements. So
everything is responsive, like auto by default it will come to responsive, like fits every
yes,
step.
yeah, exactly. It fits all the animations exactly according to the orientation. Yeah.
No, what he's asking is
So it does.
after.
I'm not. I'm able to
So a landscape video will look landscape on a mobile. You won't adjust on its own.
Oh no, that's something.
Which is why you have a different landscape
aspect ratio
mode and square.
That's why Square works out best for all platforms.
platforms.
So you must have seen some black bands that
Yes,
those black bands are filled just to make sure the
Because actually this mobile size it will not come. Probably bigger mobile size it will come.
That's it.
So that point automatically it has to select like what's the best as per my size. That's what we call responsive design.
Yeah,
So that's
that is
also
possible. Video file doesn't have that problem.
okay.
So what you have to do is you have to say that YouTube doesn't really like portrait or square videos. YouTube, the native format is landscape. Just like Instagram, until recently they can allow you to upload landscape or portrait photos. They only said everything that you upload is square. So kind of like that, you will have to, based on the network where you want to push it, you will have to do that. Video, the MP4 video file itself, that doesn't really have any responsiveness or anything to do like that. It is what it is. You just place it.
So this is another template that I just applied. So it auto adapted to the format.
So the best part is you guys don't even have to keep applying to check it. You can just go out here and then click on this to see how it is. The preview of. Just to show you guys. So see, you can see the preview there itself
So
before you
that's a
apply.
preview of the
So this is
template. Now if I hit apply, it will apply to that.
yeah. So all the features that you see here itself is going to get applied there. So before applying, if you want to make a choice, it's out there itself. You can see the preview and then make a decision.
Let's say when you are making these videos, you take these pictures from different social medias with permission or like how it is?
Yeah.
So we have a library of.
So let's say something happened in Mexico, let's say.
Correct.
You
So we have integration with video with image sharing websites like Pixels and video blogs, which give you royalty-free images and videos based on all these topics. But if you already have your images and videos and
no, you see, on those cases, nobody can have the
also
they
yeah,
have
so we have
we've given this option where you can give them the credit for this image. So you click on this, correct. Let's say I took this up from a website, let's say BBC. Okay, correct. So I can give them the credits here saying I took it from BBC, which is
somebody is taken from Facebook.
Right, exactly. So you can list the Facebook channel. Let's say if someone's taking it from Facebook, you can put the Facebook symbol there, and let's say you can, yeah, let's say BBC, official BBC or something like that. So we take care that in consideration as well.
DJ, can you talk about the pricing? You had a question.
yes.
How we can play with this for months or two to understand, learn, and anything available which we are
Sign up for free.
Yeah. You can sign up for free, and in your free trial, you can make 3 videos as well and explore and see how.
When you say product is free, means again there is only free trials or something.
No,
Right,
I'm
so-
saying you can sign up and then you get your free slate, your free editor, and you are allowed to create 3 videos. Is what I'm saying. So you have 3 chances to experiment,
We
not
can create more than
experiment.
that. Like let's say for
As of now, we don't have any requirement for 3 because
so
the product is intuitive, so intuitive that people fall in love with it that they just go ahead with the product.
So
You
we
can
have-
see how intuitive
We have basically an individual and team plans. So team is something that think of Google Sheets. You can achieve a lot with Google Sheets when you 2 people are sitting together and working on something like that. So what we've done is we try to implement that productivity with videos. What Rocketium will allow you to do is it will allow you to create teams, right? And the best example that I can give is Your Story. How they do is so Your Story makes these things in different languages. They have videos in English, videos in Hindi, videos in Tamil, and they have a different team who gathers content for Tamil, different team who gathers content for Hindi. So what they do is they have different teams. Let's say Hindi team, Tamil team, and English team. And those individual members are a part of those teams in Rocketium. All of this is inside Rocketium. So let's say the admin of a team, he's asked 2 of his people to work on a video. One gets the images, one gets the content. Both of them have opened it. They can sit and they can work on it individually. If you do not have a team and you're just an individual, you can go for these individual plans. So
I have a question here. Sorry. Let's say I need only this month. Then after that, after a couple of months, I need to create. So I take a month for this month. Then again, I can discontinue, and again I can.
Yeah, so we have an annual plan and we have a subscription, monthly plan as well. So you can be part of any subscription model.
So I can take this month, then after a couple of months,
Yeah.
then because let's say I take a
Because your
content
requirement is only that much, so you have to come back every 3-4 months. Then you can do it. There's an option where you can see you can choose a monthly plan
So
or an
anyway-
annual plan.
Yeah. So anyway, whenever you sign up for the free plan, the only restriction you have is on the number of videos that you can make.
So why am I saying the free plan? What happens? Like, how do we learn? Like, we play with this, we do a lot of mistakes, and
Correct.
then by the time we do the mistake-free videos are not.
So what Rocketium will allow you to do is, if you make a video and if you see that there's a mistake there, within 24 hours you can correct that, publish it multiple number of times to correct your corrections. Once the 24-hour count passes, this 3 will become 2.
So you can do n number of
So within
editing,
that
n number of.
We are all humans, we make mistakes.
Right.
I may not be happy with my output. I don't like the music.
What mistake you don't learn?
That's true.
Exactly.
Which is why they give you 24 hours to create as many mistakes you want.
One for
You will
one.
not deduct those.
Right?
You work whole night and
Correct.
you
For that one particular video.
Yeah. So that's just for one video. So that 3 times a video.
So these are the basic plans we have.
Who was the top competitors?
So I think that's a crazy activity that you should do on your own. It's a very nice activity.
So
Today, I think the biggest so the biggest reason why we are here today is not because some competitors are out there and killing us. Biggest reason is most of us here haven't really created videos.
Exactly.
Right? That I think is our biggest
Concern.
Among the people who create, the biggest competitor is Adobe and Apple because it is designers and agencies that companies go to and say, I don't want to create videos. I just have this one video for my website. Can you make it?